What are you saying? Am I slurry? No. I don't drink coffee this late. I do have to get my beauty sleep. Come on.
I do need coffee, Rhett. All right, so technically, right now, we are streaming to Facebook Live.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
I don't actually, because this is all beta. So for everybody who is out on Facebook Live land, thank you for joining me, because I can't even see where that's going. Like, I don't. This is the feedback that they're going to expect, though, for developers.
Awesome.
Okay, it is. It's live, and it's up on my page right now. That's
excellent.
Exciting.
So I'm supposed to be watching the YouTube live?
Yeah. So,
all right.
Yeah. All right. So we go
it.
through just a little bit of how we do it, Jonathan, is that I will start the recording, and then the technique is all of a sudden you turn into the introduction. I introduce myself, then you as a guest, and then it's always last in the lineup, but first in our hearts. Stuff.
Thank you. Jen, I don't see the video on YouTube, by the way.
It hasn't started yet.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go then. All right.
That's the video production. Like, that's what we put out for the replay. So we try to make that look as good as possible. I have like 6 million tabs open right now. This is ridiculous. I am not going to ignore anybody in the chat. I'm going to try really hard. So I love you much. I promise I'll get to you eventually.
Okay.
So
there's that.
I don't even. It's like, this is insane. Okay. All right. So we are gonna have. All right. All right. Countdown time, and it'll be like a 3-second delay. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, and welcome to Wine Antics Live for Thursday, the 28th of July. Where did the month of August go? Already it's the end. I'm Jen. I am I'm an advanced wine taster and wine lover, and for tonight's show, coffee lover, as that is part of our topic, comparing wine with coffee and how does it compare. Tonight we are joined, as always, by Stubb, my lovely lifestyle expert co-host, and Jonathan Tripp from Jonathan Tripp Live. That's the show.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's just call it that.
That sounds good. I just know him as Jonathan Tripp. Like,
that's a good ring to it. So we'll just run with that one.
Okay. He is a social media maven, as I should say, and a little bit of my mentor as a live streamer, even though I haven't told him that before, because I like to spring things on him like that. So let's do some introductions and start with Jonathan.
Well, my name is Jonathan Tripp. As you guys already know. No, thanks. But no, seriously, thank you guys for having me on. Jen, I've been able to watch and get to know you over the last little bit. But I have to say it's been all through live stream. It's all been through social media and things like this. And I really like that because that's what I do. I'm a broadcaster. I have a show I do weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's really important to know, Eastern time. But we do it live, and we actually host it on another channel, but you'll see it around. I also do and work with businesses and small business and entrepreneurs for social media strategy and account management. And it's just really been one of those things that I really enjoy doing. And then the last thing, besides being, a broadcaster, social media, I really actually do love coffee. I enjoy the whole thing. And if you don't know, I have this, I like to, this is what I call my mug shot. And that's a hashtag. And I have a whole bunch of friends now that send me they send me mug shots, literally, of their coffee mugs. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it's another great fun way to have, to be able to find and see your friends, and be able to do fun things with them. So mugshot.
Mugshot. It's fun on Snapchat. Super fun on Snapchat. I love always seeing, when you do get on Snapchat, I love seeing them there. And like I said, last but never least in our hearts, it's my co-host and partner in crime, Stubb from Cork
Indeed.
Envy.
Yes, I am Stubb from corkenvy.com. I am wine and lifestyle expert on Emmy-nominated award magazine show in Roanoke, Virginia, Daytime Blue Ridge. Yeah, I'm just going to take this to the nth degree every time now. My next appearance will be Tuesday, August 2nd. We'll be doing a Wine 101 segment. I'm a blogger, filmmaker, wine writer, and speaker if you need. So if you need any of those things about wine, sort of about wine, you call me. There you go.
And quite the ladies' man, as he stood out in the rain tonight to cook his wife a steak.
That is also true. I promised the wife a steak, so I had stood out in the rain cooking her a steak tonight before I got on air.
I feel like I feel that's love, so it needs to be shared.
You don't get 20 years plus into marriage without trying a little.
Yep, very true. So throughout the week, or not throughout the week, but throughout the last couple of days, I've been sharing a lot of interesting facts that I found that are not like traditional wine and coffee pairings, which we've done a lot of pairings in the past, pairing social media, pairing music, and really comparing the elements and breaking them down and comparing the two. No, I kind of went with a comparison in terms of like, what are the similarities between the two from my perspective? I mean, everybody else is going to come at this from a different way. Over social media, I spent a lot of time talking about the health benefits between the two of them because it's a huge thing that the wine industry, and I will say it from the wine industry because it's a good image to talk about wine in right amounts of quantity, not necessarily Wine Antics quantity. Both coffee and wine have some very good health benefits. We're talking about heart health for both coffee and wine, mood enhancers for both coffee and wine. I know that when I drink wine, my mood is often better. And then one of the very recent ones that I shared was actually all about your liver health, which I look at this as the yin and yang between coffee and wine, that coffee has some properties in there that is actually said to improve liver health and reverse liver damage. So I feel like, okay, so in the morning, I'm doing good things for my body with coffee. And then in the evening, I'm taking it all away. So coffee is the duct tape for my liver. From preventing against wine. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but this is the way I look at it. So that's my first share of comparing coffee to wine. Any of you gentlemen like to make a comment or go with the comparison?
Jonathan, guess first, my friend.
Okay, all
I'll
right.
just stun you both.
I'll run with it. What the comparisons? I think there's a lot of comparisons, and I didn't even think about the health aspects because, I mean, I know, right? I mean, if you drink wine, you drink wine. Come on, honestly, do you really drink wine for the health benefits?
Yes, every day.
No, it's
benefits, and you know it.
It's not a non-benefit. Let's be honest.
Right, but you're not going. I'm going to pick that one because it's really, really good for that. I mean, my life is powered by coffee, and I mean that in and of itself is one of the reasons why I drink it. I mean, I've been drinking coffee for I can count it in decades now since college, and the group of guys that I lived with in our house that we rented, they were all seniors, and I was not. They were all like 6 foot, 200+ pound dudes, right? Yeah. And I'm like kind of in there, I'm going like, what did I do? Right. And about halfway through a semester, they played this game. And this was my real heavy intro to coffee. It was what they called the race to the heart attack. And they would all brew a pot of coffee, and they would see who's the first one that they could that could finish the cup of coffee. I mean, reasonably, not like just chugging a cup of coffee. That's silly. They would see, it was called the race to the heart attack, and they would see how fast they could consume a pot of coffee each. And so that was my intro. So I don't drink I don't drink coffee for my health benefits. I drink coffee because it's awesome. That's really what it is. I mean, at this point now, I enjoy the exercise of actually making it as well as drinking it.
Oh,
that is a comparison. I think that I don't think anybody else here in the room makes wine themselves. You may be familiar with the process, but you probably don't make wine. I mean, now I don't roast my own beans. That's the next step. That's like 2017 goals. Okay. But right now I don't need to, because there's actually a couple of roasteries right here in like my town, or my city rather, in Lynchburg, that do that. And I talked with one last Saturday. I'm actually going to go see him tomorrow, on Saturday at the Lynchburg farmers market.
Nice.
And it's going to be pretty awesome.
Amazing.
So, that's a comparison. I don't know. That was a really bad comparison, because I really didn't compare
Jonathan, I'll jump in here and reiterate.
There's no wrong answers.
I'll give you my coffee experience, and I will also say that I have made wine. I am not a winemaker, but I actually have made wine for an harvest in 2013. I did do that. And I will say my intro to coffee was probably growing up in Dallas. My best good friend JR and I would tell our parents we were going somewhere else, because we lived in the suburbs, and we would drive to the Dallas Galleria Mall, where there is an ice rink. And there was a great little place that made awesome cappuccinos. And we would buy cappuccinos and make sure that each of us had somewhere between $2 and $5 in quarters, and we would sit at the ice rink. And keep in mind, you could also smoke cigarettes indoors at that point. So we would have our cappuccinos at 17 and smoke cigarettes around the ice rink, and we would bet quarters on who was going to fall next. Ice skating. But that was my intro to coffee. My dad drank coffee when I was a kid. My mother didn't. And I never really took a liking to it until I felt sophisticated with a cappuccino, pinky up, and betting on which family member on the ice rink at the Dallas Galleria was going to fall next. A quarter at a time.
You stack the quarters, and then when they do, you just kind of scoop them.
It was almost like the arcade. And once again, we all went home and, would lie about our age to buy lottery tickets, because, we weren't 18 yet. But that's kind of my intro to coffee. And it was kind of that, and going to the local joint in my neighborhood called JoJo's, where you could go if you told your parents you were somewhere else and you weren't out drinking and drugging, but you just wanted to smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. You could go to JoJo's at 2:30 in the morning, telling your mom and dad you were going to spend the night at a friend's house. And JoJo's made an amazing cup of coffee right there on 183 and MacArthur Boulevard in Irving, Texas.
So it seems like your wine and coffee comparisons, or at least your coffee comparisons, all have connections with childhood memories, guys.
A little bit.
I want to take a moment and thank everybody for joining us on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. We are actually live and chatting on huzzah.io/Wine Antics. And if you'd love to come and join the chat, we'd welcome you. There is some interesting dialogue going on. More to the line of our traditional type of pairings that Stubb and I have done for Blab About Wine and on Wine Antics Live. I've kind of taken, like I said earlier, the elements of wine and comparing them to coffee. Now, I can't break down what Colombian versus Jamaican versus South American, what the notes of each of these brewed versions, because it's not just the beans, because that's a different smell, and then the roasted is a different smell. But once it's brewed, I couldn't remember that. That's why there's coffee somms for that stuff. But there are definite classes of coffee. So we have our K-cups. There's the people that drink K-cups, and they're okay with that. And I'm one of those people on any given day. There are people that brew things, by the pot, like with Folgers or Maxwell House or even Starbucks. Then there are the French press people. And I can be one of those people at any given time. But that's exactly like Jonathan chose. But then there's an additional step of person that takes coffee to the extreme. And that's the people that buys their own green beans. Because if you don't know, coffee comes as little green beans. Then they roast them or get them roasted. Then they're boiling the water to a certain temperature and then adding it to a French press in different layers or levels of coarseness. I mean, there's some serious art to what it comes down to. So taking all of those elements, the K-Cup drinker, the Folger House brewer, the just everyday kind of French press person, and then the extreme, maybe we could do some wine comparison to that. What do you think, Stubb?
I think we can do that.
I don't know. What about you, Jonathan? Do you think you could compare a little wine to each one of those types?
I don't know about if I can compare the wine. I can talk to you about a little bit about some coffee.
Okay.
But I'm a pretty fast pickup when it comes to wine. I'll give it a shot.
We'll even go beverage arts in general. Like for you can the whole gamut of beverages, and I would say adult beverages. Let's try to keep it to that realm.
So no Kool-Aid.
No Kool-Aid, unless it's got some soju in it, and then we can talk then. So let's start with K-Cups. You know, I'm sure at one point we've all, including the people in the audience, have been a K-Cup user. What kind of wine would you pair with a K-Cup or beverage for that matter? I will start. I don't mind. I would pair that with an average everyday drinker. So it would be something that you could grab out of the grocery store. So you're talking one of the bigger name brands. I actually am loving Dark Horse. Maybe people don't know about it, but it's a very big brand that they have a Cabernet Sauvignon and a Sauvignon Blanc. So you could pick your choice. You could say a rosé from Sutter Home. You could pick a white Merlot from Behringer. But that's where I would go with a K-Cup.
I would have to pretty much agree with that because see, almost even to another level, and I'm going to go with this way. If your wine has a handle on it and it comes in a cardboard box, that's your K-Cup. Come on, I see the comparisons, right?
Yep.
This is
so
wine
true.
on the go for coffee when you need it.
Yep, that's true. It's
it.
Accessible and ready to go when you are. And jug wine or box wine is very accessible. What do you think?
Straps and you can put it on your back.
I've seen those.
Throw around. That's a K-Cup.
I will agree with that. That I am not a fan of the K-Cups personally because I do equate that kind of to jug wine. And I'm posting a link here.
Oh.
Ironically enough, during my 49-ish or so episodes of Weekly Wine with Stubb, this episode here dealt with coffee and cupcakes and eggs. And it dealt with more of the single-use kitchen appliances that one can buy for making a breakfast sandwich. Like a breakfast sandwich maker is called an oven and a pan, not this thing that you crack an egg in and then put an English muffin on. And a coffee maker is a coffee maker, not a Keurig. And I think I probably called out my father-in-law who has a regular and a travel Keurig because he swears by the Keurig. Yeah, I find that the K-Cup thing is, you're not going to get the best stuff. And even if you grind your own beans into that, you're grinding way too many depending on your grinder.
Oh, let's not even.
And it just doesn't work for me unless in a pinch. If I'm staying in a hotel, it's great. We lived in an apartment building that had the Keurig K-Cups downstairs if you wanted a quick cup on the go. But if I want a cup of coffee, I'm going to grind my beans that I want to grind and make some amount of coffee in a pot and be done with it. Absolutely. So, yeah, I will equate that to a jug wine a little bit because your choices are limited. And there are some great jug or mass-produced wines that are great. And there are some K-Cups that have carrying it to wine a little bit better. Like there are some mass-produced wines that are better than others. But at the same time, if I want a good cup of coffee, I'm not going to a K-Cup. Period.
I agree. So from
Shasta does still exist, Debbie, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm sorry. Oh.
Just throwing words in there that I don't know. Why are you trying to confuse the blonde? From the K-Cup, and I mean, it could be the same about quality if you're brewing a whole pot of coffee. And we're talking Starbucks from the grocery store. We're talking Folgers or Maxwell House or whatever your preference is. But you're putting a little bit more time. You're putting a little bit more time to your commitment of drinking coffee. Let's put it that way. If you're making a whole pot, unless you have a family of 4, you're drinking a couple cups. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So that's what I see when somebody makes a whole pot of coffee. As for wine, what I would compare that to, I haven't even thought about that.
You asked the question, Jen.
I know, but I came up with the outline.
I know.
And now I put myself on the spot. So, I know it. I won't say any names, but I have a couple girlfriends that buy some barefoot by the like 2-bottle size. I don't know. Is that the Magnum size?
No. Yep.
What?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I feel like that would be my comparison. Like buying the under $10 Magnum size bottle of wine, not jug wine, not box wine. They do sell more generic brands in a bigger bottle.
Sure.
So you're committed to drinking when you start opening that. Just saying.
Indeed. All right.
Tag. Stub.
Yes, no, that's true. That is why I actually, when I'm at home, I do not make coffee if I don't grind my beans. I have a big tumbler burr grinder, and I get, and quite honestly, I have found a great Costa Rican blend from the wholesale store that I really like for general drinking, and I fill that tumbler up and I make I've found the grind blend from fine to medium that works for me for how much coffee I drink every day. And it works for me. Now, when I want a nice cup of coffee, I also keep other beans in the house occasionally when I want a nicer cup of coffee on the weekends. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm making a steak tonight, so I'm going to open this awesome bottle of wine. Well, on a Sunday morning when I want to sit and read the entire Washington Post, I make maybe I pour those beans out of my grinder and put nicer beans in and sit with that and actually sit longer and think about my coffee while I'm drinking it.
So did you compare it to a wine?
So everyday wine, I'm going to open a, red blend from basically wherever, let's say the, exclusive California red blends. Sometimes on a Tuesday I'll open that because I want a red wine with dinner, and I'll open that. And, if I'm making a nice filet that I've bought for a special Saturday night when I'm, want to seduce the lady or whatever, I'm going to open a nice red Burgundy. I know. Shake your eyes. Roll your eyes. You knew I was going there. Come on.
I know. No, I actually appreciate it.
But it's a difference. It's a difference, though. There is a difference between the meanings of what you're doing. So every morning I have my normal coffee for the most part, but special occasions I grind different beans, whether it's the Mexican exclusive beans my wife brought back from her vacation with the ladies a couple weeks ago, or something I go into Whole Foods and buy, which right now my next one, and I haven't tried it yet, is Rise Coffee from Easton, Maryland. Rise Coffee sold at Whole Foods right now. Not Eastern, Easton.
Oh.
I met one of the workers there a couple weeks ago in a bar, surprise. And I'd heard of their coffee. I just never bought it, but I'm going to try that on Saturday morning because I bought a bag of it from Whole Foods.
All right.
But that's not a Tuesday morning coffee when I'm like, all right, great. I got to wake up and have a couple of cups and read my news and check my emails and then get to work. That's not a Tuesday morning coffee for me.
And that's a very fair point. Like when we make a pot of coffee in my house, it's usually pretty generic stuff. But like you, there could be some house guest or weekend long where you guys will drink a nicer whole pot of coffee. So that does reach for a better caliber of wine. What do you think, Jonathan? How do you approach a whole pot of coffee?
No.
You do approach it daily?
Quickly and lovingly. Because if you come too quickly you'll scare it.
Nice.
And, And I don't know if you guys know this, that I had a passing in the family this past, I think it was Wednesday.
No.
Oh yeah, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh.
My coffee maker had been with me for, I don't know, at least 5 years. I'm not joking. It was probably about 6 or 7 years I've had this one coffee maker. And on Tuesday, it just stopped making coffee. We did everything we could to try to resuscitate it. I mean, we did everything. I mean, we changed outlets, we jiggled it, we even gave it like the come on, guys, you know how you fix things right? You just kind of go, bam. It didn't work.
Wow.
We tried everything that we knew how. And unfortunately, that was the end of that one. But it's okay because we already have spare up on the shelf ready for it because we'll never be without a coffee maker. So
Yeah.
You had me. I was about to send condolences for your family loss.
Right.
I've had that coffee maker for almost as long as I've had my dog.
Oh.
Wow. I have a coffee maker that I think probably needs to be put out to pasture. I've replaced the glass pot twice already. And because sometimes I'm lazy, well, most of the time now I'm lazy. I'm like, for $20, I can replace the carafe. So I'll put it in a dishwasher with the hard water in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So it gets that white, and I've had 2 pots though crack right at the handle. And I'm like, oh, do I need to go to like a stainless thermal carafe? And
that's what we're at now.
Yeah. And I'm kind of thinking my next purchase is that. So I'm a Cuisinart coffee guy myself. How about you, Jonathan?
We just finished the old one was it's like a KitchenAid knockoff.
Nice. Okay.
It's the same thing. They just put a different brand name on the front of it. I mean, like you hold the 2 boxes next to each other, they're identical except for the nameplate.
Right. So
that one just died after 6 or 7 years.
So when I go to Dallas and visit, I stay with my best friend from high school. They have a Capresso coffee maker with the little milk steamer, which they don't use anymore because they have not a Keurig. What's the other one that's not Keurig with the pods? They have
Nespresso?
The Tassimo and the Nespresso both. They have both of those, but they keep this Capresso full pot coffee maker because I visit and they get up and make themselves a cup of coffee and they go to work and they're like, Stubbs going to get up and make himself a half a pot of coffee. This is Stubbs coffee maker, which is pretty amazing, by the way.
Wow.
We have that kind of a thing when we go to my in-laws. They actually have a full coffee pot. We bought the coffee pot. We leave it there. That's literally the only time it gets used.
Yes.
So, when we're there. So, I mean, that's the way it is. But to answer your question is that our replacement, which is now going to be probably the one for the next decade, or at least until 2020 something, it is the Cuisinart. It's got the steel carafe in it. Yep. I mean, and I had forgotten how hot it keeps the coffee, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do a lot of, I'll do like a pot of regular coffee and then we get into, and that's like my everyday coffee.
Sure.
So how do I approach it? I mean, look, I go in, and I have tonight, I've got a couple of things, but usually this is like my Mr. Mug. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'll coffee, and I just put a little bit of cream in it, or like a little bit of milk or something. The milk actually just sweetens it up just enough.
Indeed. And
it brings the temperature down just so that I can drink it right off the bat. That's how I like to do that, because on a regular day in, day out, that's how I like to have my coffee.
All right.
It needs to be right then.
So, Jonathan, you brought up you put a little milk in your coffee. You use sugar?
Nope.
All right.
No, the milk actually makes it sweet enough for me.
All right. So I've heard that. I will tell you, I drink my coffee black with a touch of sugar. And I've been trying over the years to put less sugar in, and I do now. I think we can compare that to wine, though. Like, as far as like, how do you like your wine? A little sweet, a little less sweet, more sweet? Right. That's a preference thing.
I love my wife.
Okay.
I'm going to answer the question that way.
Well, that's good.
I love my wife. I love her dearly.
That is a great start, Jonathan.
I love the ramp up to this.
There's nothing. There's really. I can't now answer the question wrong in any way. No, I love my wife, and when she likes a sweeter wine.
Okay.
I mean, like like it's to me, it's like fruit juice.
Okay.
That's like just says like tangy fruit juice. Like that's about it. But I love her, and you'll never hear me say that to her. To her face. Okay. But in the same way, she also likes her coffee sweeter. So we've done a whole bunch of. We've done sugar, raw sugar, which we're now where we're totally out of that. We've tried stevia. We've tried maple syrup, honey, all these different, and she actually likes it. She just came up with this new kind of creamer recipe that's a sweetener that's not really like full of sugar, and she's loving it right now because it keeps calories down and it's not processed.
Okay,
so it's a win-win. So she likes her wine a little sweeter. So when she gets a bottle of wine, I'll drink it too, and I'll smile, and I love her.
Nice. All right, fair enough.
So you gave it to your wife. You didn't actually talk about your wine preference, though.
I like drier wine.
So your wife, and I'm hoping you understand this based on where you live, Jonathan. Your wife has kissed the devil, but you would prefer not to.
You know what? All I can say is I love her very dearly.
Okay. All right.
And with this being up on both Facebook and YouTube, and I still love her very dearly.
Jen, do you get that reference with the winery?
Why do you call me out like that?
I'm saying, do you get the reference with the winery I'm speaking of?
No, I don't.
I also don't want to call out a winery.
Oh, everybody gets really cautious because this is on YouTube Live and on Facebook Live. What's going on?
But said winery may have the top of a mountain adjective in their name and a furry mammal that swims in the water that is adorable at the zoo.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
There you go. Because they have a thing. At their wine festivals, they will give you a sticker that says, "I kiss the devil," if you have their super sweet, fiery wine and then put canned cheese into your face afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds like an experience. Everybody's going to have to.
Well, it's an experience
that
it's an experience that most people in Virginia wine circles, if you've been to a festival, have at least seen, if not done yourself. I've not done it myself because I'm like, seriously, that's crazy. But I will say their winery is in a beautiful place. I've been close to where their winery is. I've not actually been to it, but their winery is higher in the peaks of the valley than I've been, and it's amazing. Like their vistas are amazing. Their wine's a little sweet, and they give you hot sauce and canned cheese with them. So I'm not going to speak past that.
Yeah, I think we should just hang that up now. But I do like that Jonathan made a coffee mug change. Sometimes we go through wardrobe changes. Sometimes we go through bottle changes. But Jonathan went through a coffee mug change.
Because the first cup, that was my Mr. Mug. That was from the coffee pot. You know, that was the last of the second of pot from the day. So that pot is now done. Since we've been on, I've got my my French press and my new favorite mugs. This is somebody made this mug and they sent this to me.
Nice.
Donna, and she's a friend, and she sent this to me. She knows, like, there's a pottery. It's actually, I think they're up in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
And they handmade that and sent it to me. So that is now like one of the. Actually, this is also. I got to watch this out tonight, and this is gonna be my mug for tomorrow's show. But this is my French press for tonight.
It's like the Craig Ferguson snake mug when he was on air. If anyone knows that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had the steak mug from Arizona, I think. He bought that at a tchotchke shop in Arizona, and then had it on air with him for like 4 years.
That was his mug.
Exactly.
I rotate through. I have a mug for. I could literally go a mug for every day.
Of course. I've seen your shows. Yeah, you usually have a different mug. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's ridiculous, actually, if you think about it.
And that's honestly how much he's loved. I mean, he has a daily show every day, and there's a great amount of audience that loves the hashtag mugshot. And and wants to have their little cameo. And it is jonathantripp.com, right? To find all of the information.
That's my main website.
Yep.
And if you just want to watch the show, it's easy enough. It's just jonathantripp.live.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easiest way to find it wherever it is. But I've got 2 or 3 mugs that a couple people send me, and I love to rotate through, both giving them a shout out. But this one, I just thought this was be a great, because I handmade my, my French press and my handmade mug, and that's
amazing.
That's a nice mug to me,
Of course.
It is. So did you say what you actually have brewed in there?
It's coffee, and only coffee.
All right.
See here, that one.
We'll drink wine now for that.
What did I put in? Oh, actually, okay. This one, this is actually what I have in there. It's Traeger Brothers Coffee, and the reason why it's kind of interesting is because that's out of Livingston. The office is out of Livingston, Virginia.
Nice.
And I think it's, as I'm kind of reading through the back and as I kind of gotten to know them, but this is at like a local, I don't know if you guys have fresh markets up there.
Yes,
That's
we do.
I happen to get this one.
We do.
Okay. I don't know if I'm supposed to not say names, but
No.
I mean, I got it at fresh market.
No.
So, but they do this one, it's like, I personally like the richer, darker, more robust. It doesn't necessarily have more caffeine in it. It's a thicker, richer taste. That's how I like coffee. I don't like thin coffee as much. But that's what I use, and I don't have to really grind it really, really, fine. It's just big chunks. It's almost like wood chips. And then I just put it in my French press, and I let it sit for about 8 minutes, and then pour it, and then it's really amazing.
Nice. Jonathan, do you do most of your coffee in French press, or do you do most of it in a coffee pot?
Most day to day, I do it in the coffee pot.
Okay.
When it's at nighttime, or if I'm doing something like a steak or something, when I'm having like a nice meal,
okay,
that's how I'll make it.
Oh, to finish it off.
Most of the time, I don't need cream or anything with it.
Okay. Have you had Greek coffee, by the way, ever?
I have.
Okay.
But I don't really remember it because I wasn't into it.
Okay.
Then this was like 1997.
Okay.
And it was like the Greek.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yes. So,
right.
if any of you watching don't understand, Greek coffee is basically boiled grounds in a pan on the stove, and then, if you're very lucky, some very stereotypical, almost gypsy-looking Greek woman will pour it in your cup and then put it down, and then she will read your coffee grounds to tell you your fortune. Or
bam!
I'm not lying about this. I'm really not.
I believe it.
I don't want to sound in any way whatever-ist, but if you've had traditional Greek coffee in a Greek person's home, that is what happens, and it's amazing. And the coffee is the strongest coffee you will ever have in your life. Yeah, Greekist? I don't think I'm Greekist. I have Greek friends. Is that okay to say? Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's the strongest coffee you ever had, but it's delicious. And there's a ritual to it, which I think is amazing, by the way. The ritual of that is awesome.
That's a fair question. Cheryl asks, is it stronger than Turkish? Because I've had Turkish coffee.
And how was that prepared, Jen?
It's prepared very similarly. It's almost like an espresso concentration to me. And you're like, you will drink the grounds, or the grounds will sit at the bottom of it.
Right.
And it's super acidic and harsh and intense.
Yep. Yeah, the filtering is basically when they stop pouring to determine how many grounds you have in your coffee. Yeah, but you will drink your coffee, and they will read your coffee grounds on the bottom of your mug. Yeah. Once again, I love but much like wine, it's like you get wine at a restaurant. It's the kind of there's it's not that. You've got a thing around it, though. It's a tradition around that, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same with wine and coffee. So I think those two things are very similar. Depending on the part of the world or culture that you're dealing with coffee or wine, those two things are very similar. You have a tradition and a way you do things. So it's like you order wine in a restaurant. There's a way that those things go, and the experience of it makes it maybe better, maybe worse. One of our closest friends is Greek, and every now and again, her husband's like, if we go down to their home, and it's been a while since we have, but he's like, make Stubb some coffee, which is basically keywords for you've had too much to drink. And I say that he's my age, and he doesn't talk like an old stereotypical Greek man with a monkey or whatever, but I really stepped out of bounds there. And she's like, Stubb doesn't want that coffee. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude, that's amazing coffee. And she'll make it, and then she will, according to how her mother and grandmother taught her, read my coffee grounds at the bottom of that mug. Like, it's an experience of it. And that's amazing. And I think that's similar to wine in very many areas.
So talking about all this, and I do French press coffee, like it has to be a special occasion. But when it comes to both what I brew in K-cup form, in like full pot form, and even in the French press form, I like a bolder coffee. I like a Colombian. I know I'm drinking a dark roast. And I feel like that even translate to my coffee or my wine profile. I will drink a dry white. I will drink a sweet sangria, a sweeter sangria. Only sweetened by liquor, so it's still strong. But my favorite is big, bold reds. I mean, I like them fruit forward so that I feel like I'm getting a little roundness to it. But I like big, bold reds. And I don't know if you guys find that's true too. People that put the extra effort into coffees or enjoy darker coffees, maybe they correspond with liking a bigger red or a drier red.
I like a drier red when it comes to that. I mean, I don't like the, like I was saying, it's like tangy fruit juice.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just how I like, say it's like, well, it's nice. It's polite wine to me. It's very polite.
It's society wine.
It's here, have this, and you're like, yeah, thank you very much. I've had that plenty with coffee, right? No, but when it comes to like wine, I mean, if you give me a choice, give me a dry wine, something that, I mean, I just happen to enjoy it better. I didn't always like it that way. Maybe it's when I hit like 30, all of a sudden I was like, this is what I like now. I don't know how that works, but maybe I've aged.
To be fair, you've only had 2 years of experience with that, Jonathan.
So one of my best friend is actually watching in the Facebook Live. Hi, Nicole. And she's working her way into wines, and she enjoys a medium body coffee. So maybe more like the breakfast blend, what people would be used to, or I can't even think of another one, but she's getting into the reds. Now, I would have argued that she would have probably liked a lighter coffee when she liked sweeter wines, and now she's starting to branch out into the reds and more dry portfolio. So I think that's a pretty fair connection. And I welcome anybody in the audience here on Huzzah or on Facebook to make a comment. How do your wine preferences match with your coffee preferences? Do you like the darker coffees and the bolder reds, or the lighter coffees with extra cream and sugar, and you like sweet wines? I mean, I'd love to hear opinions.
I usually see that is the case, that they like the lighter, sweeter wines, and it's very much the same way in how they like their, the coffee. Because usually one of the things that with coffee is that unlike wine, for the most part, and I know there's exceptions to it, but most of the times you think of wine as pairing with a food, or pairing with very odd. It's not so much, we'll just have a standalone wine. I mean, there are some, and that's why I say there's some exceptions. Usually coffee is a standalone drink. It's unusual when it gets paired with something. And when it does get paired with something, it's usually something like a chocolate. Sometimes they do it with like berries, like blueberries and stuff like this. And I'm kind of like, it's not my cup of tea, so to speak,
Right.
They can do it, but for the most part, coffee has been really thought of as a drink, as a standalone drink, which is kind of unique.
Yeah, Jonathan, you bring up a great point. Like, I so my wife brought this up to me. She's like, my grandparents drank coffee with every meal, like morning, noon, and night. They didn't care. And I was like, all right, well, that's a thing. I get it. I can drink coffee with a meal, but if I go to brunch on a Sunday, I'm going to order a coffee and then I'm going to order a mimosa. So now you're actually blending coffee and wine together for like a brunch situation. And as you said, if I'm drinking a wine alone, I want a big, bold, tannic red that I have to sit there and think about. And it's the same with coffee. But if I'm drinking a wine with a meal, I want something that's going to complement that and be a little lighter. So I think if I go to McDonald's and get an Egg McMuffin with a hash brown meal with their coffee's I think I can say across the board, a fairly medium roast, all around breakfast blend type coffee.
It is literally the middle of the road.
Right. But it goes perfectly with an Egg McMuffin and a hash brown. Like It actually pairs. You get a hot beverage, you get a little bit of, egg and protein. You get the protein and carbs in your gut to get through the day. And you can make your own version of that at home. I'm not tempting McDonald's necessarily, but once again, you've got some type of pork, some type of carbs, and some type of cheese or dairy there with the cheese on it. And so you have a middle of the road coffee. And most mornings, that's what I have. I have a slightly harsher middle of the road if I'm just drinking coffee, because I don't normally have breakfast. So if I'm having coffee by itself, I want a big ass coffee. But if I'm drinking coffee with something else, I want something a little less, harsh or overbearing. And I think that goes for the same with wine with food. If I want a big wine just to sit with a bottle of wine with me and one other person for 3.5, 4 hours listening to music or hanging out, I want a big ass cab.
Oh, yeah.
But, if I'm having it with a steak or something else, I want to rein that in a little bit. And depending on the steak, and once again, the pairing's a little, maybe in my mind, a little different with the steak, with the wine. But I don't know. Coffee forward wine. I don't know what that means. Y'all are crazy.
Well, I mean, there's coffee notes. When people start describing wine, there's definitely a secondary, maybe even tertiary characteristic of coffee notes in a wine. You don't get it very often. It has to be the right combination of probably oaking and the grape. But anyway, I think we talked quite a bit about the French press and how we would kind of like compare wine and coffee with the average French press user, but we haven't talked about like the top tier of people on the coffee lover gamut. And those are the people that control every aspect of the coffee making process, from green bean to water boiling temperature, all the way to I don't even know, brew temperature. I'm sure you could probably control all of that. If I would love to hear if you have an experience on that, Jonathan, or have done that. You do.
So, yes, I do, and that's my last cup of coffee for the evening, actually. So one of the ways that I don't roast my own bean for a couple of reasons. I don't need to. I've got a local roaster that I can go to, and I know where the beans come from. I know he does an excellent job, and I don't need to stress about it because he does that good of a job, right? So I can get those kinds of beans already done, but then I can grind it the way that I want for the type of coffee I want. So a drip press is going to be different than my an espresso, which is going to be different than my my French press. But in the last one that I do use, and we just picked this up because this is something I've been wanting for a while. My wife found this.
Okay.
This, I do it the upside down version. Okay.
Oh,
that's fancy.
This is an AeroPress.
Oh, somebody even knew what that was.
I've seen these. Please tell us.
Yes.
Okay. This now, okay, so it's upside down, and I already have the grounds already in there. I've already prepped the grounds. That's what I was doing just before the show.
Gotcha.
I was just grinding it up. And the way it works is, so you put the grinds in here, and it's a plunger. There's a little gasket, rubberized gasket seal right in there. So this is what I do. I heat the water up to just about like 160 degrees, maybe 175, and
Very precise. Very precise.
yeah, and there's a reason for that because I don't want it to boil.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so I know I was a little off screen, but what you didn't see is that then I just filled it up.
Oh.
All the grounds in here, and I just filled it right here. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to spill this all over myself and the desk. So then what happens on the top of this is it's this thing, and there's a little paper filter, and it just goes right on the top like this, and it's just like a filter in your like a paper filter for your for your regular like drip coffee, right? Oh, one thing I forgot to do. I have this thing. I have to stir it around. So the hot water is now mixed all the hot water, and it's doing this. Okay.
I'm mesmerized right now. By the way,
I let this sit for about a minute. Now this one I'm going to let sit for a little longer because I want a little stronger taste. So that's all I need to do. So I put the gasket back on. This is the filter strainer / an amazinger.
Amazinger.
I'm making up words now.
Amazinger.
Yeah. So I like this, and I'll show you because what it does, it actually pushes the plunger. I'll show you the other side is that it's upside down. I brew it upside down, and that's a big deal.
Okay.
That's like controversy, right? Like,
right.
You hold it from the stem or from the glass, right? I mean, maybe like I don't know, right?
That's whole cluster versus single berry maceration, by the way, in the
Wine. Exactly.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of words that sound like English,
right.
And I'm going to go, that sounds like English. Yeah. I have a top hat when I actually make this around the house. I put the top hat on. Right. So what this does actually pushes instead of allowing the water to flow over it and then through it and the gravity and stuff like this. The way this is the press, it's a press. Mm-hmm. And it actually, when you flip it over, and I'll show you, put it into the coffee, and it pushes it directly through. So the plunger then forces the water through the grounds, and it obviously the filter keeps the grounds back and allows the water to go through, and it goes straight into my cup.
Nice.
And this only makes about 4 or 5 ounces, maybe 5.5 if you're really tricky. And so it's like serving size, but it makes espresso quality coffee.
Dang.
This is the most like in control that I've been there. I can be in with my coffee without getting ridiculous and silly.
Wow.
So this is the way it works. Okay, so let me see if I can do this.
All right.
I can't,
live demonstration right here with Jonathan Tripp.
So this is kind of how I do
He's
it.
put his mug on top.
Well, I just do it because see, it's going to start coming out the bottom.
Of course,
and
dripping slowly.
Yeah, it's what you do. It's harder.
Would we call that percolating in the coffee business?
Right. It's brewing.
Brewing.
So I'm pushing it
but
down.
You have the air. But you actually have air.
It's pushing it through.
But you have an air gap between the coffee and the water and grounds.
Doesn't matter because you're still just pushing.
Right. Of course.
All of it through. And I'll say this. Okay, so now that's part's done. And now I have a full cup of coffee, and I don't know if I can get it.
I like nice. Look at me. I'm like, oh, can I see?
Nice. Right?
I want to sip.
Right? And nice. I mean, this is espresso,
smells delicious.
Yeah. I mean, well, it does for me. And
this we all did. Cheryl, you watched us all lean forward.
I know. We're all like,
yeah, I know. That's what I was.
I want to smell it.
And this is the occasion where I don't put anything in it. Because it's so, like, I don't add sugar, I don't add water, I mean, in all that kind of stuff. But that gives you the basis, and that's like, this is how I do it. That's so that's my upper tier of coffee.
Yeah. That's not upper tier. That's like luxury tier.
Yeah, I would compare that to opening a wine that you don't need to pair anything with. Like, let's sit with this big ass cab, or let's sit with this port. Although when I have one of those, I always want maybe a little cigar with those. or a nip of cheese. And once again, you might want some chocolate with that, Jonathan, but you don't need it. Like,
no,
the coffee's great alone. You can complement it if you want to, but you don't have to.
And usually I like a lot of these kind after I've had a meal or something.
Sure.
Like this is an after event kind of a thing.
Right.
You know what pops into my mind with this? I mean, it's not necessarily a luxury commodity, but it's not something that's always served, but like a port. Like
right.
You're complimenting the end of the meal. It can be served with dessert, or it could be served on its own. It's strong. It's unique. And it's delicious, and there's a lot of time and love put into it. And it's unique. Port is not just from Portugal, even though that is the term that is.
Well, port technically is from Portugal, but
okay, port style.
There you
go. Very technical terms, but as most people know it as port, it's very unique to its area where it's made. Can be made from many different grapes, and it's a little bit of a luxury. It's not a cheap bottle of wine often. So
because of the aging and time put into it.
Oh yeah.
So I will say King Family Vineyard here in Virginia does a great port style wine.
They do.
It is a 100% Merlot. But they age it for 20, I think it's 24, maybe 36. I think it's 24 months minimum in barrel. It's an amazing bottle, and they bottle it under the name of Seven.
Yep.
And that bottle of wine is so amazing. And if you open that after dinner, you're going to finish it, even though you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Because it'll last longer than your average bottle of wine. It will actually last longer. But that's not too far from you, Jonathan. Actually, so that's down in Charlottesville.
Yeah, Charlottesville's about an hour. 45 minutes, hour north of me. So I mean, that's not that far.
No, there's an amazing conglomerate of wineries. And if you ever do want to make that trip, both Stubb and I have gone down there and tasted a few different, and we would love to give you some recommendations.
And the awesome thing about where you are, Jonathan, is that you are within the Central Virginia, Charlottesville wine growing region, and you're also in the Roanoke Lynchburg TV market, where you can watch me on WSLS on Tuesday.
You know, I gotta say this, and I love how he put that in there, Jen. You got to give, however he does this, and I love he's done this right. I don't know if you look at the time, strategically at the close of a show. I'm a pro.
Brilliant. I'm a pro.
He's a pro.
I'm gonna go hang with Natalie and Brittany on Tuesday, and we're gonna do Wine 101.
No, but that really is cool because I mean I knew you guys were around, but I actually didn't know you were that regular on TV. I was like, well, I guess now I know, I need to tune in.
Yeah. I'm sure on your cable, though, you get Charlottesville and Roanoke stations both. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. WSLS 10. I'm on.
Are you huzzah-jacking the show right now for your TV stints? I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying you introduced me as our resident lifestyle expert and make fun of me. I'm gonna jump onto it. I'll be like, you know what? I'm in. That's the 66th or 67th, depending on the day, biggest media market in the country, and Daytime Blue Ridge is an Emmy award-winning magazine program. So, and I'm a regular contributor. I'm a regular contributor.
Where's Chris when I need him?
If you're going to throw it out there, I'm going to jump on it. Yeah.
I think this is a good point to end at least the recorded portion of
course it is.
I know, because you've kind of laid the extra.
Well, I've tried.
Yeah.
You get great points, though.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun going through the health, a little bit of the health comparisons between coffee and wine. And then, of course, we kind of went through the list of the types of coffee drinkers and comparing them to wine. I really want to say thank you to Jonathan Tripp for coming out and joining us. He brought a amazing demo and coffee lover perspective to Wine Antics Live. You can catch him daily on firetalk.com, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Social media, coffee, humor, it's all wrapped up into one on his daily show.
That's
and
a fact.
It is an absolute fact. And
Fact.
Stubb is on daytime Blue Ridge. We all have our moments here.
Stop it already! You're embarrassing me.
He's our resident lifestyle expert. So catch him on follow him on Cork Envy. He will post his shows, and of course, us here on Wine Antics Live every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and don't forget Tuesday, where we have the Wine Lover live stream. So for everybody here, cheers. Thank you for joining us. And please, if you're on huzzah.io, stay for the after party.
Indeed.
Bye now. Okay.
How was that?
It was very good. I just don't know how to close out the live stream on Facebook now.
Oh, I think you just go to Facebook and stop it, right?
I don't honestly know.
I don't know. Does it matter? I mean, on Facebook, who cares?
I
don't know.
I don't honestly know.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks so much, seriously, for joining us. You added a definitely different element tonight.
Yeah.
Which
Cool.
which is good.
I mean, I've watched you guys. I mean, usually, like, I'll watch the show, but I'm doing something else in the background. I'm kind of, I'm working or something like that.
Sure.
And so, like, I just love the fact that, like, I can listen to you guys and just kind of go on. But
Thanks.
I mean, when she asked about like coffee, I was like, well, I don't know enough about wine to be able to compare. But I like my coffee the way I do it. So,
jeez.
I also didn't fear about you not being able to take whatever I throw at you and kind of turn it around to whatever way you want. Because it's not like, this isn't your first rodeo, Jonathan. So I'm sure you can spin it any way you want.
The
same might be fair for me too.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it is nice. It's nice to be able to hop on one with you guys. I mean, you guys know what you're talking about. You're very easy to talk to. I like the show. I like the style, all those kinds of things.
It's fun. I mean, we set up our show for the week on topics, but I mean, we don't have like script, chapter, and verse what we're doing. And I think Jen, I don't want to speak for you. This is your brand. Like, the Wine Antics, it's wine happens.
Yep,
like,
it is.
That's kind of the thing.
It happens a lot.
Sometimes, depending on who can or can't be on, it's okay. Well, we thought so-and-so was going to be on, or we're going to have this topic. And then Thursday afternoon before the show, it's like, oh, it's another show. So it's just a, sort of free for all, but we both know enough to keep this thing going. I think, right?
And I think that's part of the fun of this is that we come with our own perspectives and we don't really know what each other is going to talk about. And then we just kind of improv on it. That's part of the reality aspect of live stream that everybody actually enjoys. We're not perfect. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We're coming from different backgrounds and we just make it work.
Indeed. Yeah. And I will say that 70% of the time, we basically just agree on a topic. We don't go back and forth with questions.
That's so true.
I mean, seriously, that's it. Jen's like, hey, here's the topic. Or I'm like, hey, I got this person or she got this person and we're going to do this topic. We agree on the topic and then we just go. And we're like, we'll do this for 30 to 60 minutes and see what happens.
And it is nice when you have a good co-host situation where you need to go back and forth because there's times where it's like,
oh yeah,
I don't feel like talking right now.
Oh god, yeah. I've said a lot of stuff. What do you guys think? You're waiting for chat and no one's on. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, you're just like, not on your show specifically, but other shows. I'm like, oh,
it's happened.
I could never do that. Like, I could never host a show on my own.
I really don't know how to end this Facebook live stream.
Are you
able to go into Facebook?
Yeah.
Into that stream?
Yeah.
Facebook Live.
I don't know how. Again, I don't see because it's connected. I'm actually wondering if it's connected because of the show, and that's it.
Oh, that's really crappy.
Yeah, you're still live, Jen.
All
Now-
right. Well, then we'll stay live on Facebook.
I actually just wonder
Well,
if
that's
do
a
you have
disaster, but all right.
in Huzzah, are you allowed? Do they allow you to do like host and co-host? So would Stubb be able to have co-host privileges?
Yeah, Stubb does have co-host privileges.
I wonder if you can back out into the broadcaster side and end if there's an option in it. And I only say this because
Stubb.
I have no idea. They just changed all of this around.
I know. And I appreciate everybody on Facebook and here in the chat kind of bearing with this process because we're in beta testing right now from Huzzah to Facebook Live.
Yo.
So that is us figuring this out. So I'm going to try that, Stubb. You're going to be in control.
What is on Facebook or in Huzzah?
On Huzzah right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and if it ends the show, what do you want to do? Just start a new one and we'll be right back.
Well, it won't stop the show because I know I've done that a few times before.
Yeah,
I do
she
know
can
that it
jump
won't
out and back in.
Yeah.
All right. Try that, Jen.
I'm scared.
This could go really.
So scared.
This could go
Almost
really-
scared.
I'm scared. All right. Well, the problem is it's not stop broadcast. It's not
Claudia,
stop.
you're right. We are hilarious.
Wait, hold on.
It's
hold
go
on.
off
No.
air.
Take event off air. Okay. So there's a take event off air and stop broadcast. What's the difference?
I don't. This is all.
Oh no,
brand
no,
new.
it's ended.
Jen,
It's
It
ended.
did?
on the Facebook?
I'm looking right at it. It says this live video is ended. It'll be available to watch on Jen
Well, there you
Nelson's awesome timeline shortly.
Well, there you go.
It still says it's live for me.
Well, I just click live notifications. No, it's not. I'm actually looking at the video feed on my end. Maybe it's saying that it's live. It's just you need to refresh that.
All
end.
right, let's refresh that, and maybe that'll.
All right. Jen, you put this on your personal page, right?
Yeah, it's all on my personal page. So the worst
All
case
right.
scenario, it's just a bunch of my friends watching us for a
Right.
little while.
Oh, well, now it says it's live. What? I don't understand. Whatever.
I don't either.
Coffee.
It literally
Everybody-
actually said.
Hold on.
Keep
I'm
drinking
clicking
wine.
the link.
And we'll figure this out.
We'll keep drinking and talking and having a good time.
Yep, that's what it. All right, I'm gonna try to go off air as me.
All right.
Cross your
I'm-
fingers and your toes, ladies and gents.
I'm not leaving.
I love the fact that because we, I share this on my timeline for the show, and I didn't realize she hopped out, and it changes the perspective.
Right.
So I shared it with a whole bunch of my friends on my timeline,
Okay.
and some of this is their first time they've ever been on Facebook Live.
Right. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And I've thanked Jen because she wants to do the live stuff more than I ever did. I want to do the shoot edited video for my part of things, but she has drugged me into this originally kicking and screaming, but now I love it. I love it.
There is something a little bit addicting
It is a little.
in the live stream. It is a little bit.
And it concerns me that I love it so bad.
Yeah, that you're still willing to.
Right. Are you
Just
still
do it.
live on Facebook, Jen?
It looks like it. As of right now, I'm actually refreshing the page, but it is still
Right.
pretty funny.
Jen. All right.
It's okay.
Oh, well, now you know.
Now I know.
Jen Nelson, check out. Oh, look. Oh, what is this? I'm getting commented on a video. I'm getting video comments right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Look at that.
You know what?
On Facebook's.
Just keep it straight. That's all we got to do.
Just
keep it straight.
Keep it straight.
Yeah.
These are your personal friends now.
Yeah, they're all my
I
personal
love
friends.
it.
So
I mean,
I have the
I
overlords.
don't know if my old man's watching, but he liked it earlier. Once again, I'm also pretty sure I can't do anything that'll embarrass my old man, but
no.
who knows? I mean, I'm not going to try. That's not a challenge.
Did you check out the YouTube feed, by the way, Stubb, to see if
I
the
did.
volume was okay by chance?
I did. It said one person was watching, and I had to cut the volume because there was an echo
Yeah.
when I'm listening to both of them at the
Okay.
same time.
Well, if you got an echo, that means that there's volume there, and that's
Right.
one word.
No,
Super-
she was getting a weird.
Because of OBS. So it would be
Right.
like I've been playing with the settings to figure out what comes through my
Hold on.
computer and what goes through my mic and trying to find that perfect balance. Last week, it was not balanced and it made me angry.
All right.
And you sit back and you're
Jen-
like, yes, this is why I have Wirecast.
No, look, I did the same thing. I went through the same thing with OBS,
Right.
with Wirecast,
Yeah,
and it's a matter of, it's really just comes down to, it's a matter of just working it out, working the bugs out so that, this is how it works. Your equipment, and it takes time. And I'm telling you, like, you can have somebody come in and set it up, but if you do it yourself and learn it, when you have a problem, you know how to fix it. You're not like, I need someone else to help me do this.
No, not at all. All right. So because this is the after show, if anybody would like to come on,
I've just invited 2 people.
Oh, did you? Good. Well, thank you for anticipating my needs.
I'm a gentleman.
You are. Thank you.
Yeah.
And a scholar.
I invite people to join.
Everybody, I love my feed right now. Every one of my friends, like I have high school friends watching this right now. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Paused. It should resume shortly. Oh. Okay. Like commenting, like, this is hilarious.
No.
My mess ups are hilarious. But that's
is.
That's what live streaming is.
I'm only trying to invite people so I can take a short break.
Well, go take your break. Go do what
I'm gonna do that.
Go do what you need to do.
Boom.
Go
All
do
right.
you, boo.
I will be right back. Ooh, who is that? I am David Vaughn.
Oh no.
David
I'm not prepared for this.
Where is he? Is he in Huzzah or is he in?
Let's see. Yeah, he's in Huzzah.
Why don't I see? Oh, maybe I. Okay, cool. Now I see him. Nice.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl and
Hello.
Mr. David Vaughn.
Hello, can you hear me?
And Gone with the Wind.
This is where Huzzah gets a little wonky. When you start putting 6 people on, it really taxes the system. It looks good. It looks good on Facebook Live, actually. You can't hear me?
Can everyone hear me?
Seriously, if David Vaughn can't hear you, that means he needs to refresh. But I don't think that's the case. I think he can hear you.
David, don't mess with me.
I go.
I'm not Jonathan.
I go.
Don't mess with me. I'll kick you in a heartbeat if I can find you.
Or a heart. I'm over here.
But yeah, it looks really good on Facebook Live, though, and that's really impressive. Did you catch most of the? I know Cheryl was on here for the most of the show, but did you catch most of the show, David?
No.
No?
We've been without power for a few hours. So.
Oh, really?
And I have a storm rolling through my neck of the woods here too, and I've had the lights flicker a couple of times.
Oh wait. There we go.
Jen just.
I refreshed.
Oh,
Yeah.
there she goes.
Um,
Nice. Yeah, every time you moved, like the Gone with the Wine mug moved. I was trying to read it.
oh, sorry, man.
Smashed.
Because I got
and-
smashed in.
Nice.
Dominican Republic.
Really?
Good coffee there, I hear.
Do you have a pair of headphones by chance, Rhett?
I can maybe find
It would
one.
prevent the echoing.
Okay, let's see what I can find.
I will invite you back on when you find the pair of headphones. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Let me go look. I'll be back.
So Jen, you posted it on the Facebook Live feed.
And maybe David would
it
help
has-
too. I can't hear you, Jonathan.
But
I hear him.
you can't hear me at all.
I can now.
Oh, okay. I was. Yeah, there's a background hum. I don't know what that's from.
It's
though.
Cheryl's fan.
Oh, okay. Okay, then that's just the sound of the room. I like the Facebook Live feed of this. It has 3 across. It has 2 rows of 3.
Mm-hmm.
That does not look weird at all. I was wondering how they were going to address that. But nice.
It also looks like there's room for 3 more.
Like the Brady Bunch. Could we go full out Brady Bunch?
Well, I mean, if you look at it on Facebook Live, there's a big black area right at the bottom. So, to me, it looks like there's room for 3 more. Just saying. And so one of the bugs as going forward here, Jonathan and David, I can't end the broadcast on Facebook Live.
Can't end the
Yes,
Facebook
you
Live.
can. Well, you
broadcast.
have to end the huzzah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to do that. Because how am I gonna, like, what am I gonna do to people? Like, say, hey, okay, we gotta go to another event that I don't have planned. I don't have a channel to bring them to.
Sounds like a Fire Talk problem.
That does sound like a fire talk
You
problem.
did agree to be a beta tester.
Yeah, you're all
It's now
beta
beta.
testers.
Cheryl,
Yes.
can I ask a favor? Either the fan to go off or can I kick you?
Yeah, you can kick me. It's 85 in here, so I would die.
I know, right? There's so much love in what I say. Can I
of
kick
course.
you? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining.
I'm
and
sorry.
seriously,
I'll
I
be
love
here.
your I love your comments.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you in the chat.
Cool.
And now
I can.
it's nice 4. I really like this layout. I like how this layout with the 4. I really do like how that looks.
It's the same as Fire Talk.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, good. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Now, my question is, where did the transparency go in the chat?
That is
That's
a very good question.
Because it was transparent. It was transparent on the one I did,
Okay, is that better?
Much better.
Excellent.
and yeah, that's weird.
There's a lot of when you start getting really multiple people on Huzzah, it gets a little wonky, and I think that whole transparency was really an example for just one person.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
It's got that creaky haunted house door.
Stubb's coming back. Stubb, your house is haunted. I can't hear me. His headphones aren't in.
Here I
Your
am.
house is haunted.
It is. That was the loudest, creakiest door in existence, right there.
Yeah, I put the stuff on it every now and again, the lubricant, but it doesn't work.
The creaky lubricant.
Yeah, the house is settled a bit, and it creaks anyway.
And then
Nothing I can do about that.
You know.
Jen, where are you?
Right, I'm here.
I don't see you.
You're gonna have to refresh.
I'm gonna
And just
These are the real world. So, I host a conference kind of get together every Monday night. So, Rhett and Justin and Stubb and I are all going to the Wine Bloggers Conference coming up at August 11th through the 15th. Yes, I will be out in California. We will all be out in California. And I want to get people together before the conference, and I've hosted 2 now. And once we start to get to like this 6-person screen, things get crazy wonky with Huzzah. It gets super pixelated, and people drop off on their face. They lose their grid square. Like if Stubb is back, I can't see him right now.
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's coming.
Am I now?
There he
my
is.
screen.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hit the go
There
on
you
air
go.
button.
See, it's
There we go.
especially between me and Stubb because we are co-hosts.
Right,
Like, if I refresh, he won't be able to see me.
right. It's weird.
But that's not a.
That is a weird
That's
thing.
not really a huzzah thing. Just
That
to let
isn't?
you know. That is a web RTC thing. I mean, you can experience the same issues on any platform because right now you have 6 individual video streams at one time. And so if your bandwidth is low or sucky, or if you're on DSL, it doesn't matter what you have, it's just going to be sucky. If you've
Please-
got a
please
lower
don't talk about
system,
my bandwidth.
Wi-Fi, router, all these different things. So it's more of a WebRTC thing than it is really anything else.
Yeah, but it seems to work better on other platforms.
Well, you're going to experience the same issues in different ways on other platforms. I'll tell you, the only
Sure.
platform you will not experience it on is Hangouts and Hangouts on Air. And that is because you are not doing individual, or you were not viewing individual streams. They actually take it and morph it into one stream. So if everybody would do it like YouTube does, then everybody would be YouTube. So anyway, that's probably way too much technical stuff. See, now he's going to drink more wine.
Yeah, well, that happens. But on Facebook Live, we're all showing up very well.
And that's because it's one stream
for them
that you're viewing. Yeah, they're taking everything and then pushing that through the API, and that's one stream that's getting in there. I'm actually going to drop. I'll listen for a few more minutes, but I have to get to sleep because 4:30 in the morning is going to come rather quick.
Thanks for joining, sir.
Thanks, David. It's nice to see you on my channel.
I absolutely
Take care, man.
So Justin and Rhett have gotten a chance to watch most of, if not all, of tonight's episode. What do you guys think? Do you have any comments to add along the way?
I enjoyed it. I'm also a big coffee drinker. So I want to say that I got into like good coffee a while ago. And my grandparents had this percolator that broke, and I was very upset. I was going to try and like solder it back together, but I thought that was probably a bad idea. There's the part where you put the coffee and then the tube that goes down the middle, and like that broke off the bottom of the coffee pot. There's like no way to get in there.
And now it just doesn't work.
Yeah, so but you can't find them like that anymore. It was like a really good quality one, and I find like all the percolators in the stores now are like a stainless steel material, and this was like a solid.
Yeah, because that was the heating element. That was the piece that heated up the water inside. And with that gone, it's just like
for sure
the pot. It's a double boiler, effectively.
Yeah, for sure. So I did have a couple questions for you, Jonathan. I've got this organic coffee here from a company called Isogenics. And it's got coconut oil, seaweed-derived calcium and magnesium, and organic green tea leaf extract in it.
Okay.
It's like a diet program I went on. It's supposed to be like really healthy coffee.
Yep, and that's a lot like Tim Ferriss who made it popular. This thing called bulletproof coffee. And have you ever heard of this? And we didn't even talk about this. Bulletproof coffee. Okay, this is basically what this stuff is. It's a nice organic coffee. You start with a good coffee bake, right? But then you add in coconut oil, a scoop of that, and then you add in coconut oil, and then it's an organic butter. It's not a processed butter. It's this really pretty rich type of butter, and you put it in the blender.
What?
And you blend that sucker up, and it makes it so it mixes everything. And when the coffee's hot, it melts the butter and it melts the coconut oil, and it mixes it all together. And then it comes out. It's super rich. It's super smooth. If anything, it's worth trying to do, because it tastes really good. It's just every time I do it, I've got to clean out my blender. It's a whole bunch of stuff I don't have to do. I don't like to do every day, but it is really good. And that's what it reminds me of. Now with Isogenics, it sounds like it had like some of those things in there, but it also added some of the tea, and because tea has a lot of different kinds of, health. We talked about that right at the top. It has a lot of like health benefits. Yeah. But I don't drink coffee because it makes me healthier. I drink coffee because it's awesome.
No, it just makes everybody feel better about their excessive drinking coffee and wine sometimes when you spew out some health benefits.
Fair enough.
Honest.
Oh yeah, this is good for your upper lower, your inner pancreas secretion.
Your digestive tract.
I don't know what I just said, but I'm still drinking the coffee.
Now, I saw something online, which is probably not the best place to take any information from, about adding butter to. It was about adding butter to your coffee.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's coconut oil and butter, and it blends it together. And it's not just like any butter. It's not like you go down to like the Walmart and you buy Walmart butter. That's not what we're talking about. It is like the kind of butter that you would get from a farm.
Right.
Like you would go to the farm and say, "Hey, can you cut me off a slab of butter?" Like that's the kind of butter that you want. because it's not processed and doesn't have all that stuff in it. That's what you're talking about. And it does make it really rich and creamy. Like you don't need anything in it.
Oh,
Cheryl.
Yeah, Kerrygold. There we go. That's Cheryl's got it. That's the kind. As soon as I saw
the Kerrygold butter. Oh, I love that stuff.
All right, Justin. Very stonic of you right here.
With it. I know you do. You're like.
What do you think? What did you think about today? Yeah, you gotta contribute.
Justin, boo.
You can't just work.
Sorry. So
he's thinking about
I
spirits.
took kind of a different view of tonight's
I'll be right back.
tonight's subject, and I actually poured myself a little coffee liqueur.
Mmm.
I'm actually not a big coffee drinker. Unlike a lot of people, I don't run on caffeine. So I'm not a huge coffee drinker. I drink tea every now and then. I'll drink coffee maybe twice a week. Starbucks maybe once or twice a month the most. But so yeah, so I was interested to listen in and just trying to see what you guys were thinking. And so the conversation was very interesting. It was different than what I expected, but it was very interesting.
And I'm fine with not Starbucks because, quite honestly, I love if I buy the Starbucks beans, I think they're pretty good if I buy them at the store or at the grocery. But I do not go into Starbucks normally and get a cup of coffee. And I'm not a cappuccino, frappuccino, whatever they say. If I want coffee, I want coffee.
Latte.
That's it. Yeah, latte. Now, I do love the chai tea lattes, by the way, on occasion. On occasion, as a treat, but that's not coffee, obviously. Right. But I also think that Starbucks is they are the cheerleader for way overcooked coffee for commercial coffees. Like every Starbucks, if I go into Starbucks and I'm like, hey, just give me a coffee, it's overcooked, it's way too hot, and it's just burnt. It tastes burnt to me. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, Starbucks did the same thing to coffee that McDonald's did to hamburgers. Okay,
and Walgreens did to the corner store. Yes.
And what I want you to understand is that when you go into a Seattle Starbucks, you're going to get the same cup of coffee as when you go to Boston and get a cup of coffee.
Of course.
And by the way, guys, if I lose power, if I just go and I'm gone, it's because I just lost power. I have a huge storm coming through the house.
Right.
Lightning storm. You see, I don't know if you'll see like lightning come here and then you'll see it flash off of it because it's like crashing around. But that's what Starbucks did. And not everybody likes the flavor of Starbucks, and they've gotten more and more processed. Like you get a specialty drink, it has a lot more syrup in it. There's like around here in Lynchburg, there's a couple of there's a couple of coffee shops. One of them is the Blackwater Coffee Company. And I really like that. I really like them because they rely less on it's more about the coffee flavor and less about adding a whole bunch of like syrupy stuff into it in order to make the taste good. I'll use the air quotes. Right?
Sure.
And you get more of, and they made a Frappuccino. It's kind of funny you said that, but they made a Frappuccino, and my wife, she's like that. She's likes sweeter drinks and stuff. So she drank it. She's like, this is good. I said that. She's like, here, you need to try this. And of course, she's saying,
sure,
yes, my love,
of course,
I'll try it. And yeah, and when I tasted, I was like, wow, it was notable. Like I actually tasted the coffee and not the syrupy, sweet, sugary stuff. The coffee flavor in it came out. And it was really good. And we actually went back to. I said, "This is actually the best coffee, not coffee, but the coffee drink that I've really had in a really long time." So,
yeah, I agree. Coffee drinks though and coffee are different. If I go into Starbucks, I'm like, all right, give me your breakfast or medium roast or Pike's Peak, right? And they're always overcooked and way too hot. Like, quite honestly, they're just burnt most of the time. And because I don't put cream or milk in my coffee, they're way too hot, and I don't get the flavor. It destroys itself, and I end up putting more sugar in there to be able to take it.
I will be the bad guy in the room for a moment, and this will be the only time I ever defend McDonald's and Starbucks in the same sentence.
Oh boy!
Ever.
It's getting rough now.
But I will say this. The problem.
Jen, no. Go ahead, Justin. You're fine.
Yeah. Okay. The problem with Starbucks and with McDonald's and with Walgreens and all of these other, kind of. I use Walgreens as an economic model, but is that people expect when they're in Boston or Seattle or New York, they expect everything to taste identical. They expect everything to be standardized because that's what they want. They want that one flavor, and that way they don't have to worry about, am I going to like it or am I not? Unfortunately, that's the consumer. That's the companies reacting to the consumer.
True.
However, you are seeing apparently Sacramento, where I live, is the farm to fork capital, they call it. I've never experienced it because I'm never home, but there is a movement, as you guys have seen. I know you've seen it in Virginia. Rhett, I'm not sure where you're from, but I'm sure you've seen it where you're from. Of this resurgence of people bucking the fast food, the everything tastes the same, the Chili's, Applebee's mentality. But you can't blame, and none of you are, obviously. I just thought I'd play devil's advocate. You can't blame Starbucks. You can blame McDonald's because they're shit, but you can't blame Starbucks for wanting to make sure that consistency is company-wide and worldwide. I get this drink called mocha something. And then again, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I tried it once, and it's this thing. Basically, it's 5 billion calories, 9 different things in the cup of coffee. It's coffee, espresso, plus whipping cream, plus whipped cream, plus I don't know what the hell it is, but it's basically crack in a cup.
Yeah.
And it's fine, when it gets me through the day if I really need it. And that's I move on with my life, but I'm not going to go in and get one every week because it things like $5.
All right.
I will say one more thing about Starbucks, and then I'll drop it. But I was taking an ex-girlfriend to a show off Broadway in Chicago on State Street, and I needed to go to the bank, and we passed a Starbucks. We went into the building, we passed a Starbucks, and I said, no, don't worry. She wanted a cup of coffee, and I said, no, we'll get the next Starbucks. We'll get the next one. And so we go into the.
There's one on every corner.
What's that?
I said there's one on every corner.
In this particular case, Brett, since you ruined my story, no, in this particular case, there were 2 in one building.
Wow.